What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Twisted Life of TV. I am Poetry. You are here for another recap and review. This is of The Handmaid's Tale, Season 6, Episode 10, the season finale. Not only is it the season finale, it is also the series finale episode. We are finally done with The Handmaid's Tale. Her story has been told from beginning to end. Okay? It's amazing, though, that a lot of you, after I did the recap for Episode 9, thought that was the last episode. Oh, excuse me. Or thought that I had gave up. In my opinion, Episode 9 should have been the last episode. A lot of the things that happened here in Episode 10, they could have just added on to Episode 9 and extended it out a little bit. But here we are with the season finale. This is titled The Handmaid's Tale. If you understand this show came from a book, it was a book adaptation, you will understand why this final episode is called The Handmaid's Tale. Now, I'm going to let you know, when I watched it with the team the other day, with the rest of the lifers on the Discord channel, I was confused at the end because, it had lost me for a second, but I was kind of angry about a lot of things. And then I got an understanding, oh, duh, I had missed the point. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But anywho, personally for me, I found this season finale episode lacked closure of some of the subjects that they had addressed during the season. For me, it didn't give us anything that would make us anticipate the second chapter, which is called The Testaments, which is 15 years later after Gilead. Well, actually, that's not correct. It's supposed to have been 15 years after Gilead, after June made it to the Waterford's house. 15 years after that. But they are advertising it as 15 years after the fall of Gilead. That's not true. It's 15 years after June made it to the Waterford's house. Okay. But they didn't give us anything for me. They didn't give me anything to anticipate that upcoming storyline. Sure, there was an indication that Gilead had not fallen completely. There was an indication that Mayday was still existing and that June wanted to continue to fight. We got all that. But still, I thought that it was glossed over for the most part as far as how we transition over to the Testaments. How 15 years later, after everything began, or the main storyline began, why Hannah is still in Gilead. I guess the ending of this particular episode, they kind of hinted toward it when Holly was making a statement about this story is about all the mothers who never got their children back. So it's kind of foreshadowing that she was never getting Hannah back. For me, I needed to see part of the battle. When we start off this episode, June is telling us what happened. June is walking us through different sieges that specifically, I can't say specific, my tooth is ready to fall out my mouth, specifically happening in other cities, but we don't get to see any portions of these battles. Matter of fact, when this episode started, those battles hadn't even happened yet. She opens up talking about how such and such got failed and how this place failed, but at the point of this story, it hadn't happened yet. I needed to see Rose learning that Nick doesn't exist anymore. I needed to know what happened to New Bethlehem, who was in charge of it. Or did it all go away? Because Serena's gone, Nick's gone, Lawrence is gone. But you had a bunch of old handmaids and Marthas, that had resided back in that town. And it was still particularly under Gilead's control. Who was the all-powerful high council? They mentioned one person, but I wanted to know who Baal's father was. They never went back to address any of that. And most of all, what happened to all the doggone children? Remember, Lawrence had tucked away Naomi and the other wives with the children's. Not children's with a S, with the children. What happened to them? I got none of those answers this particular episode. Instead, I got bonfires and karaoke. Reunions and celebrations that made no sense to me at this particular stage. They went on like the day after, like everything was back to normal. Everything. And considering Gilead was worldwide, it didn't appear that they were making real provisions to protect Boston. The intricate players, they were all moving on. They were all leaving Boston, making Boston very vulnerable to me again. But it seemed like they were just happy to get their Starbucks back. That's what it seemed like. So we open up, like I said, with June telling us that Boston was now free and that the Gilead operation there was over. We get a very dark aerial shot of the city. Buildings ravaged by different bombs, trashed through, vandalized. Boston was a city, or is a city, of 48.4 square miles. It is the third largest city in the northeastern hemisphere of the United States. And they're free, okay? All from 20 to 30 rebels attacking, hanging in the middle of the town square. Downtown. I can stop saying town square. In the middle of downtown. Boston, as of today's date, has nearly 700,000 people there. They had a good number of people there before Gilead that was overran by a fascist regime for 5 years at this particular point. According to Naomi, they only lost 37 commanders. 12 fled. Those 12 weren't supposed to live there anyway. They were supposed to be just visiting. Okay? Thousands of guardians, hundreds of eyes. We lost those people during this battle. And this is what brought them down. Okay? At least when we saw Chicago, when they went to Chicago, we could feel the pressure of both militaries. We could see why that city was difficult to obtain. But here in Boston, these 20 to 30 rebels took back an entire 48 square miles of land and freed the city. I think I needed in this episode, I needed it to open up with me seeing some of that battle. It would have been an abridged version of it, true, but something to explain how, Sway. I need stuff to make sense to me. So June says that even by the time the Marines showed up, the fighting was almost over. So you got this big Gilead command that the military wasn't there for the most part. So they did this mainly without the military's help. Early on in the series, they had said that there was the different divisions of the military that we have: the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, Coast Guard. That those divisions were all united as one now. Small, but they existed as one unit now. So it took 19 days for everything to calm down completely. And like I said, we're not at the end of that 19 days when this portion of the story is being told. We go back to downtown, and remnants of Gilead's existence were being thrown into a bonfire. Mattresses they were raped on, flags that hung around the city, and most importantly, red cloaks all baptized in eternal fire. June then explains that the rest of Massachusetts was liberated. I'm going to say that again because that's going to come back up later. The rest of Massachusetts had been liberated. Like I said, which is odd to me, being that the Testament, which is 15 years after the first book, Gilead is still in Cambridge, Massachusetts, extending all the way north into Toronto. But she says Massachusetts had been liberated, along with New York, Ohio, Kansas, and maybe someday Colorado. And then once Colorado is liberated, then maybe they can get Hannah. Now, one of y'all has said to me before in one of the videos that y'all thought Hannah was in Colorado. And I swear they said she was taken to Washington State. I was debating back with y'all like, nope, they said Washington State. So I had to go back and find out, right? So, in episode 9 of season 5, this is when they were going to attack the location that Hannah was at. It was said that Hannah was actually in school in Colorado Springs. Okay? The rescue attempt was supposed to happen in Colorado Springs, but it was foiled by Gilead shooting down the planes. So, she wasn't taken to Colorado after that attack. She was already in Colorado for that attack. So y'all had the Colorado portion right, and I had shit wrong. Okay, so I don't know where the hell I got that she went to Washington. I don't know where I got that from. My bad. Okay, but anyway, everything is burning around them. Somebody hoisted up the American flag that had the 2 states on it, and they climbed up on the church and hoisted it up. You know, we get a series of flashbacks of June and Hannah. Elizabeth Moss is sick of y'all saying that she don't care about Hannah Banana. That's all this was. All through this episode, we kept getting flashbacks of June thinking about Hannah Banana. Even after they did the attack on the school, the only time that was the only time that June brought up Hannah again. Okay, the only time it was brought up after that attack on the school, when they shot the planes down, is when other people said it. Okay, she didn't ask Tuello, she didn't ask Lawrence, and she didn't ask Nick, was Hannah still safe after that attack? Especially considering that the Mackenzies were certain that that whole attack was to get Hannah. Hannah had become a symbol, and so did June at this particular time. That's when Lawrence was trying to get June to come to New Bethlehem. Okay, but the showrunner himself, he also didn't give a damn about Hannah either. And I honestly think, I know we had a discussion about this during the Discord, that a lot of people were saying that she didn't give a fuck about Hannah because Hannah was a black child. I honestly think that the showrunner listened to that as well, and they didn't want that to be what it seemed like in this particular show. Okay, but like I said, he didn't give a damn about her either. He said, and I quote, "This is the Handmaid's tale, not Hannah's tale." That was his exact quote. Okay, by season 3 of this series, he had already made a decision that June was going to never get Hannah back. Okay, and that was actually different than the way the original script was written. He decided after season 3 to change it. So when Margaret Atwood decided to write the book, The Testaments, it made his decision easier because now Hannah Banana is still in the book and still in Gilead. So it made sense for her not to get Hannah back at the end of this particular series. But again, like he said, this is June's story, or the Handmaid story, not Hannah's story. So y'all can stop caring about Hannah and wanting to get her back. Okay. Anywho, it's very interesting to me that was after season 3 that he made this decision. And if you've been on this channel for a while, down in our comment section or any of our discussions, season 3 is where it took a turn for a lot of people. The writing changed. The direction changed. And some of us as viewers, we even changed and started taking issue with the show. Me particular. Okay? Right around season 3, right when he made the decision that Hannah wasn't coming back, when the writing changed, that's when we changed too. And it changed a lot for a lot of black viewers. Let's be honest. It changed a lot for a lot of black viewers. Okay, let's go back to the episode. Doing all this commotion that they got going on, Moira and Rita came up and stood by June's side. Neither of them have any idea what the hell happened to Janine. Now, she had started to walk away. So this was an edited error, I believe. She had started to walk away from the fire. But then they cut to her staring at the fire. And while she was standing there, we get flashbacks of her love story with Nick. Okay. Then she said Gilead didn't stand a chance because they had no leaders. That made no sense to me. She said the Boston Commanders were all dead before the fighting started. Now again, according to Naomi, only 37 commanders had died. This was some revisionist history type shit, okay? But in her mind, God always required a sacrifice, right? So I'm finna get a little spiritual here. A little spiritual. God desired sacrifices. He desired sacrifices of our desires, our worldly ambitions, so that we could be in full alignment with His will. That's the type of sacrifice that God wants, right? Not sacrifices of people. And I know in the Old Testament there was physical sacrifices, but with the birth of Jesus, all the sacrifices were supposed to have been fulfilled. And then there was a new spiritual sacrifice that was awakening. And that spiritual sacrifice was of oneself. Okay? And our will, our submission to God. It's called the living sacrifice. Okay? And that entailed the way we think, our actions, our desires. They were all supposed to be sacrificed unto God's purpose. Now, none of this that's going on in this show was God's purpose. None of this was God's will. Not even Lawrence getting caught up on that damn plane. We go back and flashback about Lawrence as if he was the sacrifice. No, sir. No. That was God's vengeance. That's what the fuck that was. That wasn't no sacrifice. That was God's vengeance. I don't go to church, but I know that. That I know. So anyway, she walks down to Luke, and he's busy gathering the troops, it seems, for more rebellions, or at least stockpiling the weapons and the bullets that they had remaining, and they're going to start rebuilding the city. They got workers in place to help restore the lights. Next, they're going to work on getting the airport back going and hopefully get flights open back up from Alaska so that Holly and Holly could come. And I noticed that Luke called her Holly. When he started doing that, she's always been Nicole to him. Anywho, for clarity, even though June listed all of those places as being liberated in the beginning dialogue, again, they had not yet been liberated. Because right now, it's only rumors that they're going to liberate New York. That's the next place that they think Mayday is going to end up. And I would think that they would work on liberating those cities first before actually putting planes back in the airspace over Gilead occupied territories. But that's just me. Anywho, with New York just being rumors, June wanted it to be clear that they are definitely not going to Colorado for now. That's not going to be the mission. And Luke was like, nah, babe, we got to do this one place at a time. And Colorado is not next on the list. So Luke tells her that he's going to leave with Mayday and continue to fight. So we go over to June's old job, the Boston Tribune, and it's now the armory and the command center for the military. And Tuello tells her that big things are popping off in Gilead. There's new leadership in place, starting with Mackenzie, the one who has Hannah. He's been promoted, and they are relocating him to Washington, D.C. And I think Anna L.A. had mentioned before that she thought that they already lived in D.C. They weren't before, but now they're going to go there. They're going to go from Colorado to D.C. So, our next focus is now Janine. Where the hell is she? Tuello takes June into this room. They always have the little cork boards lined up with different photos of people, saying that each of those people are still trapped in Gilead. Where is this Gilead that they trapped in? Okay, I'm not sure. Surely not Boston. Surely not Massachusetts, because Massachusetts has been liberated. Let them tell it. But I was like, but who took her? How did she get taken? How are any of these people trapped in Gilead? Okay. June is like, so the eyes have her? Is that who has her? He said, I don't know. He don't even know if she's alive right now. But they don't plan on leaving anyone behind. What they do know is that Aunt Lydia was released by the eyes. Why the hell would they release Aunt Lydia? But they released her, and she's going to find out what she can about Janine. So they got this vigil set up with different photos, flowers, and gifts of missing loved ones. And June spots this little bunny with a note attached and picks it up. And I was so annoyed with this. I was like, why the fuck are you messing around with people's shit? So annoying. That's disrespectful as fuck. Could you imagine you going down a god doggone road and you see this Vigil marker with the balloons and the bears and cards and candles and shit, and you feel so fucking entitled to pick up one of the god doggone bears and the card? How fucking dare you? That's disrespectful as hell. I swear the smallest shit about her pisses me off. Then, of course, we go back to more flashbacks of her and Hannah. Every time she stares into the camera, we get a flashback of her and Hannah. Just to remind y'all bitches that she cared about this fucking child. And this particular flashback, she is telling y'all, I'm going back for my baby. Okay? So June goes to meet with her best friend, Serena. She congratulates June on her victory over Boston. And June tell her, girl, we couldn't have did it without you. We could have did it without you. And Serena said, well, you know, that's me, the destroyer of worlds. Because of me, Boston has failed twice. So Serena gives her condolences for Nick, and June says, you know what, he got what's coming to him. He led a violent, dishonest life. And I'm like, and the bitch you standing in front didn't? June, who you trying to convince? Me or you? Gotta be you, because I ain't buying that. I don't believe that you believe that about him. The fans surely didn't. They was pissed off. They was tearing this scene up on IG. Like, how could you forgive Serena but not Nick? You saying Nick got what he deserved but not Serena? And I agree with them wholeheartedly. But what I think they both deserved was death. Both of them. They wanted her to forgive Nick the same way she forgave Serena. Fuck that. Serena didn't deserve her forgiveness. Serena said, if he had a choice, girl, he would have chose you. And that made June gleeful inside. She just smiled. And Serena says that she could never go back. Too many people want her dead. I'm like, go back where? What you talking about? Not to Gilead, right? Canada won't give her a passport. The EU won't take her back either. I was like, go back where? You lollygagging right now around Boston with all your free peoples. You don't seem to be in protective custody anymore. Why you can't stay there? Where is you going back to? What would you trying to go back to? You got that little mission in Canada that you should be able to go. I know Canada won't give you a passport, but you had fake papers already. They didn't want you dead. Why not go back there? What are you doing? Hold on, there's a cat on my bed. Got all the animals in my room. My cat, my dog. Hold on. Get some water. Anyway, Tuello's sticking her on the bus to a UN refugee camp. He told her not to worry, even though she has to depend on him now, and he gonna help her get her papers. He told her he will find her, and then they exchanged this loving glance. I was annoyed that he said he was gonna find her because I thought of Glenn and Maggie in The Walking Dead. I was like, that's Glenn's sentence to say. Anywho, you know Tuello was always in love with Serena Joy, right? He always had a thing for her. And honestly, I still think that the damn baby is his, not Fred's. But anyway, he gives June like a key to get her back into her neck of woods where she was at before Gilead, and said, if you know you got issues, call me, right? Call me if you need someone to talk to. Call me, satisfaction guaranteed. Anywho, she says, okay, Captain Tuello, you know? No, it's Commander, really. He kind of said it like it was a badge of honor or some shit, right? I'm telling y'all, when the Redskins decided to change their name to the Commanders, I was like, who the fuck agreed to that shit? Okay? Anywho, for anybody that's confused about why he said he was Commander, in this particular show, he was an agent of the United States CIA that was basically in exile. And his position, his job, it was equivalent to that of an asset commander in the military. So technically he was a commander. No, they were reclaiming what it meant to be an American again. So his exile title was gone. He was back to being a commander. Okay. That's all that was about. People was really upset about that too. So anywho, June starts to head back through town and stops in front of a building. All of a sudden, Emily appears out of nowhere, child. Y'all know how I feel about these types of situations. Where the fuck she come from? Where she been this whole time. Now the fans, they were already mad that Emily's story got dropped off because she had left the last season saying that she was going back to the resistance to come tear her down, and then we heard nothing else about Emily, right? So the showrunners, they thought they were going to satisfy and pacify y'all and bring her back this particular episode. They made an agreement with her. At first she said she wasn't coming back. She was doing the moral. She was like, I was done with the show, I'm done with the trauma. But they convinced her to go ahead and come back. And I can't understand for the life of me why Emily is still sounding like she's undernated or still deeply connected into the Gilead society by using their terminology. She's all blessed be the fruit, praise be. Apparently, she didn't make it to Boston. She shot past Boston and went to Bridgeport instead. And I don't know, at first I was like, I don't know if she's in Bridgeport, Connecticut. She's in Bridgeport, West Virginia. I know she wasn't in Bridgeport, Texas, but she went to Bridgeport. But she said a lot of rebellion was happening there. But since they mentioned good pizza, I said maybe they in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, because there's actually a pizza place called Bridgeport Pizza in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania. So anyway, she ended up being a Martha, she said, for about 7 months, and she stayed in contact with her wife and her kid. And June was like, I thought that once you went back in that you pretty much abandoned your family. And Emily was like, no, that's not how the world works. This was all setting the stage for us to know that June was not going back to her family either. That's what this was. This is what this was about. I'm sitting here listening to this discussion, and I keep asking myself, but why are you there, Emily? We never got that answer, unless I missed it. Why are you there now? Because if you was in Bridgeport, no matter which Bridgeport you was at, you was damn near 5 hours away. What made you just pop your ass back up in Boston? Because we still only just a few days after the battle, you know what I'm saying? Okay, they start casually walking along the wall, and there's some guardians hanging up on the wall, and June says, yeah, they strung up all the guardians. It was only 3 guardians on the wall, y'all. 3 guardians, okay? But Emily said, oh, well, the rage is a gift from God, okay? June says, but for what? They still got Hannah. What does it all really mean? Okay, they stole my whole freaking life, and I want my life back, and that seems impossible. So Emily told her, look here, girl, I believe in the impossible. I believe in the impossible, right? So then we get this little scene. It appears that night has come, and the lights were turned back on, and all the girls was on a night for the town, and they hit up this spot for karaoke. And they performed Landslide in celebration of their freedom. You know, June wanted Gilead back, or wanted Boston to be the way before, but not really before, because she wanted how she thought things should have been, you know what I'm saying? So she was there with all the handmaids. Janine was there, all the handmaids of yesteryear, Alma, Brianna, they had got hit by the train, so you know they was dead, but they was all there singing karaoke. This was all in June's head. But this scene annoyed the fuck out of me. Why are we fucking doing karaoke? Okay, this is all in June's head. She walks back into town with her red cloak. It was tucked neatly into a little foot locker. I don't know how it ended up there in a little foot locker. When she came in and she took it down to some burning flames, and she threw it in the flames, and then she started to walk back across the bridge, and the lights came on for real. You could hear all the townspeople screaming like, oh yeah, ooh. Okay, so late in the night, June is awakened, and she's driven back down this long dusty road. Looked like the same road that she traveled many times before to go meet Nick. And they're at the border of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. This is where the new Gilead begins. In comes 2 guardians, and they dragging Janine, feet just scraping across the ground, and they toss her ass to the ground, you know. And then walks up Naomi and Aunt Lydia with baby Charlotte in hand. Now, if this was supposed to be a rescue of some sort, Janine, why the hell the guardians tossing Janine on the ground like that? Okay, anyway, child, Charlotte back with her mama, okay, but y'all know good and god doggone well, Naomi would not willingly be so nice. I mean, she didn't give a damn about that little girl. Okay, let's be honest about that. She didn't give a damn about her. But Naomi didn't have not a strict bone of kindness in her. Not at all. It was not in Naomi's bag to be nice. They want us to forgive white women. And yes, I said that shit. They want us to forgive white women who have been nothing but wicked and oppressive, and want us to be thankful to them for the little shit that they've done. Oh, now we're supposed to sing praises for Naomi for giving Charlotte back. We're supposed to sing praises for Aunt Lydia for going to get Charlotte for Janine. Fuck that. Fuck them. All them damn kids should have been brought back to the border. All them damn kids that was in the safe house with Naomi. That's the least they could have fucking did. Kiss my ass. Well, they got the Logan Airport up and running. Don't make sense to me why. Because again, they haven't liberated everywhere yet. Anyway, a busload of people coming in from Alaska. It was a long motherfucking ride. Did I calculate that before, right? Wasn't it 33 hours? 33 hours from Alaska there. Dropped off at the Logan Airport. So they didn't bring my planes. But anywho, Holly and Holly have made it, okay? My subtitle still said her name was Nicole. And I was like, I wonder what June is going to call her. June didn't say that baby name the whole episode. The whole episode, right? June tells her, look here, I got to go though. Because I believe it's my duty to help save all the little girls in Gilead like you. And I need you to stay with your grandma just a little while longer. Now, Holly was listening and she got kind of upset. She walked off like, I'll be damned. I know she's not about to leave again. And we just got her back. That's what she's thinking. So June follows her and asks her, okay, is that okay? Did I do that? Did I leave the baby here a little bit longer? Holly like, how much is a little bit longer? Shit. Okay, who's going to keep you safe? That's my job, to keep you safe, right? And June said, I understand. But you need to understand that we not safe. You not safe. I'm not safe. They will never stop coming for us, which is why it made no sense to me for everyone to be in Boston walking around like ain't nothing happening in the rest of the fucking world. Y'all been free for a few motherfucking days, and based on my military experience, I see no reason why Gilead just wouldn't strike back. Okay, June say we got to keep fighting, Omar. Okay, because not fighting is how we ended up here in the first place. Okay, y'all know, to me, I took that as a dig at the 92%. Because baby, when I tell y'all how some of our non-melanated allies is pissed off at the black 92% for not fighting right now, for not protesting and not marching right now. That sentence there, because I always say this show is talking to us as fans. That show saying we got to keep fighting because this is how we got here in the first place. No, we got here in the first place because your sister in arms, your brethren, they chose an oppressor. Okay, that's how we got here. And y'all always did so. Y'all always, but that's okay. Anywho, I'm just saying, I'm going to talk about that in another video. I want to talk about that in another video. How in the end, I realized The Handmaid's Tale was not for black women. I remember it saying season 2, episode 6, I think I said it was, how this was my favorite show. And then after season 3 happened, changed. There was a change in me. I felt that there was a directional change that was trying to lead me to somewhere, trying to lead me to be forgiving of the oppressors. You know what I'm saying? Like that. We watched the show faithfully. You know, we got riled up, we got entrenched, we cheered, we cried, but in the end, a lot of us was looking sideways at the screen. I could tell by in the comment section, a lot of y'all understood too. If I post that video, I'm gonna let y'all know. I got too many ideas in my head to talk about that, and I need to condense it before I can put it into a video. Anywho, Holly say, get somebody else to do it. Okay. June said, you taught me how to fight. You was always out there marching and protesting. I'm gonna chip off the old block, and you already know me. I'm not gonna give up. And Holly say, no, I don't know you. This ain't the you I know. I'm just getting to know this you. Okay. But you pretty fucking amazing. I'm proud of you. June says, you know what? Sometimes I think that I'm not a good mom. Holly says you're a great mother. No, I would not say that. Okay. She hasn't been a mother for years. And it's not her fault. Because she was in fucking captivity. You know, that's the part of her that has been taken from her. That one part. The ability to be a mother to these children was stolen from her. She's not a mother to them, so she can't be a great mother. She's a parent. I could agree with that. But for me, motherhood includes not just giving birth, but having a social and emotional impact through experience of raising a child. The experience may not necessarily be good. You may have a fucked up mother, but but those experiences that you engage with them, that makes them a mother. Like say, she's a mom, yes. She's a parent, yes. But being a great mother to these children, that she hasn't been. That's, I don't want to like speak ill of the dead, but that's like saying somebody who died in childbirth was a great mother. How? They did not experience anything but carrying the child in their womb, or carrying the embryo in their womb. That's the only thing they experienced. They made sure they took care of them in those times. But as far as being a great parent, they can't be. They wasn't around, and that's equivalent to what I'm saying. You may not agree with me. I'm not going to debate with you about it in the comment section. Let's just agree to disagree in advance. Okay. Anywho, Holly said that my dog is snoring. Holly said that she's gonna make sure that baby Holly knows all about her mama. She's gonna tell her all the stories and all the tales, and she thinks that June should write a book. Okay, this is where the title comes from, The Handmaid's Tale, because the book is The Handmaid's Tale, and so she wanted her to write a book. And the book, though, is actually a compilation of more than one handmaid story. June is just the one that's telling it in the book. Actually, a handmaid, it doesn't even say June. She doesn't even have a fucking name in the book. But that's what the whole thing is about, right? So June says, this ain't a good story to tell. I'm gonna have to wake you up and put you out. You're making too many bodily sounds down there, son. He is knocked out. Okay. Anywho, this is exactly the type of story that needs to be told. It's filled with pain, it's filled with fear, yes, but this is the story that needs to be told so we can be reminded of how we got to this point, right? But her mama tells her, look, it's also a story of fight and that you'll never give up. This is for the 999,999 people who never got their children back. But they continued to try. They continued to fight on. She told her to write it for our sweet baby girl and for Hannah. Let me tell y'all, that pissed me the fuck off when she said that. She said, write it for our sweet baby girl and for Hannah. Like Hannah was a separate motherfucking entity. The distinction itself stuck out to me. Okay? It did something to my damn spirit. Write it for your daughter. She cleaned that shit up secondly. But to say, write it for our sweet baby girl and for Hannah. Bitch, really? Okay. I told you, the show writers are trying to tell us something. Anyway, I wanted to add, though, June, write it for yourself. Okay? Writing was one of those things that they had taken from you. Writing was yours. You were the editor at the magazine, at the newspaper. Writing was something that you were passionate about, and it was taken from you. It was forbidden. Write it simply because you could write. Okay? Just made me remember that I'm a motherfucking writer that ain't writing. I need to finish my shit. Anywho, June returns outside and runs right into Luke. He says that they've been able to reestablish the power, and they did it for hundreds of thousands of people. Remember how large I told you that Boston was? June was like, I underestimated you. He said, and did. Luke says, we don't even know each other anymore. I was like, y'all just figuring this out. that y'all not like the persons that y'all used to be before Gilead. Okay. June said, was there ever a before? I was like, bitch. Really? Was there ever a before? You were part of breaking up this man's marriage, okay? Y'all got married. You even created a child together. A child who is still in captivity. And you had the fucking audacity to say, was there ever a before? Luke was like, yeah, there was a before. Look here. I'm not the only one who has said this in the comment section, but I'm going to say it again. June don't give a fuck about Hannah for real. Because she don't give a fuck about Luke. Okay? Once Nick and Jellybean became part of the picture, that was the family she desired. She only on this bag about getting Hannah now because y'all motherfuckers kept saying that she don't give a damn about her kid. Luke is like, yeah, bitch, there was the before. He said, yeah, bitch. He said, yeah, there was the before. Okay? She's like, oh, okay, whatever you say. Anywho, Mayday is rolling out, led by Moira. Okay? Luke said he found a base up in New York by the border that he plans to recon, and then they gonna decide what their next move gonna be. And she tells him to be careful. So basically they saying we ain't no longer searching for our daughter together. That was the original plan before they decided to infiltrate Boston. They were gonna go get Hannah together, but now they're both on their own. And Luke asked, well, what about you? What you gonna do? Okay, what's your plans? Well, she plans to work with Tuello, and she plans to get Hannah. That's where they're going. Okay. He said, well, I'll meet you there. Okay. He tells her too, write your story. You should write your story. You should write your story of escape. And she was like, nah. And he said, no, you had people who helped you, who loved you, like Janine and Emily, Lawrence and Nick. Boy, bye. Lawrence did not love June at all. He did not love June. He would. Nick, if that was love that he was showing, I don't ever want that kind. I don't ever want it. People you loved, he says. I'm going to throw in Serena because she loves Serena dirty draws. She really do. But I guess Rita and Moira wasn't among those people because he didn't name them. He didn't even name himself. How they leave all the black people out? Was that a coincidence? He didn't say Rita. He didn't say Moira. He didn't say himself. He said that these people need to be remembered because they were all there. What about Rita, Moira, and you? Okay, anywho. Then we get that fucking stern to the damn camera and bull flashbacks of Hannah. Just to remind you motherfuckers again that she does want her kid. Speaking of kid, Serena has arrived to the UN camp. Space is limited, but she has a chair, a table, and a bed. Okay, similar to the same things that June had in the very first episode. And it's crazy though that they said they're not supposed to have kids there, and she needs to find somewhere else to go the next day. Okay, so basically Serena Joy is homeless. Why Tuello put her ass on that damn bus? This supposed to be a UN camp, and they kicking her ass out because she got a kid with her. Serena was like, I ain't even got to change the clothes for the damn baby. Ain't got no Pampers and everything. And I was like, she was there at the table picking up clothes when Tuello came to get her. I guess she didn't grab nothing. But she had a bag that June gave her. She dumped this bag out on the bed. And there was the outfit that June picked out for him. And she was like, look at June, being a savior again. Go ahead on, girl, right? And Serena felt blessed, especially for Noah. He was all that she ever wanted. That's what all this was for. And God blessed her with him. After all the wrong, all the treachery, and all the sin that she has committed against others, she still ended up getting the one thing that she wanted the most from God, and that was Noah. In the end, June went back to the Waterfords' house. And I would say this is where it all began, but the Waterfords was her second poster, not her first. But it was the first time that we were introduced to the life of the Handmaid. She opened up the gates, walked up to the top of the stairs, and stared us in the face, child. Then she climbed the long stairway of a very dilapidated house into her old quarters, and it actually didn't look like the same room to me because I don't remember that sink being in the room. I thought she had a separate bathroom, but I could be wrong. Anyway, she sat in the window. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that was the same room because she only had one window, and this room had three. Anyway, child, she sat there in the windowsill, and I knew that fucking star was coming. She sat down and she looked like this for a minute, and she looked up. Oh, her face. Oh, her face. Woo. And then she was having flashbacks of Hannah again. I told you, every time she did that stir, she was flashbacking of Hannah. And then she turned on her recorder. It was a click, click, click. It said a chair, a table, a lamp. And now remember, this is how her first day in the house, the Waterford's house, began. She started to dictate her book right there in the recorder. The book that we know as The Handmaid's Tale. No, she looked into the camera again and said, my name is Alfred. Okay. See, now I know why I kept saying Alfred. Because she said Alfred. But it's supposed to be Alfred, not Alfred. Anyway, I'm going to tell you, when I watched this the other day, we was in the Discord group, I was confused and insulted that she said her name was Alfred again. Because I hadn't paid attention to the recorder. And somewhere somebody's mentioned that the recorder click had been the same click that was in the episode 1. And I was like, was it? So I had to go back. Y'all know me, I had to go back and look. And it wasn't. we saw the chase of her and being captured by the Guardians. And then they shut her into the van. When they shut her into the van, the scene opened up with her in the windowsill sitting there. Her saying a chair, a table, a bed, or a lamp, something like that, right? It was a parallel sound though, so it was a callback to that episode, and it's probably the intention of the dictaphone clicking on so we can hear that click again and be brought back into the story. That is the end of this episode. That is the end of this season. And again, I so greatly appreciate each and every one of you for being here with me for 7 years, recapping and reviewing this show. Listen to my mouth. Listen to me bitch and gripe. Listen to me cuss, because y'all know I do. I appreciate you all. I say I want to do another video after the fact to just talk about how this show relates to black women, the connection between the allyship of non-black women or non-melanated women, or the allies in us, the 92%. I want to talk about that, but like I say, I have so many freaking ideas in my head. I don't know how to condense it yet to make it like a good, concise video, and I don't want it to be super hella long. This recap is already super hella long, but stick around the channel. There's other TV shows that we're watching and reviewing. I'm still doing the old TV show Lost. I'll put a pause on it so we can finish this. And then we'll see what else we're going to pick up. You know, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for being here. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.